All right, 20 for 2020. What were my favorite fragrances for 2020? I've got 20 of them here, and I'm ranking them. So if you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Happy New Year to everyone. I've got 20 fragrances here. I'm doing it a little differently today. I was going to do a longer video. I felt like, you know what, 20 for 2020 is perfect. Let's go with that. But I'm doing an updated video, a follow-up, a part 2 for this, of fragrances that did not, you know, end up in my 20, but still are great releases for 2020. So there's probably going to be about 10 to 15 more fragrances that I'm going to speak about in another video. But today I've got 20 for 2020 ranked. And before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So just a couple of more details, just to let you know, these are the fragrances that I was able to sample throughout the year. Now there might be fragrances that are missing out of this list, but I don't own every single fragrance, obviously. I don't get to sample every single fragrance, obviously, so I can't really end up, you know, reviewing or knowing about all fragrances that were released in 2020. So these are the ones that I got access to and I sampled and I actually ended up putting on this list. So let's get started at number 20. It's NANSHE from NISHANE. A powdery fragrance with floral touches. It's ultra powdery and I recently featured it in a powdery fragrances video. But what I really like about this one is the rose with the patchouli. The patchouli and the rose really stands out, but it's a powdery version of those two notes for me. So if you like rose, if you like patchouli, and also powdery fragrances, because this one features lots of powdery notes, carrot seeds, orris, musk, rose, patchouli, cardamom, and a lot of other floral notes, then this is definitely one for you to try. So that's NANSHE from the house of NISHANE. Number 19, it's Moonlight in CHIANGMAI. I recently reviewed this fragrance in addition to the NANSHE. So this one to me is a great Yuzu-esque fragrance, a very sparkly, effervescent, citrusy fragrance with Yuzu in the top notes, with teak wood, nutmeg, jasmine, vetiver. There's some resinous touches of myrrh, benzoin, but a beautiful scent. But you know what? This one is at the bottom. It's not the strongest one from this house for me, and even though I really enjoy it, it just ended up at the bottom more than the top of the list, because there's other fragrances that I am enjoying a lot more. There's something subtle about this, there's something classy about it, and also it's slightly leaning masculine, and of course it does remind me a little bit of ambroxan in fragrances such as Baccarat Rouge, not a perfume, Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 2, but more with substance with other notes as well, as I said. So this is Parfums DUSITA's Moonlight in CHIANGMAI at number 19. Next, going to a designer, and this is Le Parfum from the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier. I really do like this one, and you know, I had dismissed a lot of Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrances for a long time. I mean, I wore the original Le Male back in the 90s, and I kind of stopped. I recently picked up that one before this, obviously, and then I got excited about this one, and it doesn't disappoint. Actually, it's a great designer release. I just wish it just had a little more depth to it. I mean, it's pretty strong as it is for a designer, but I wanted a little more depth and something a little more concentration-wise like Dior Homme Parfum. Either way, it's still a great scent. It's featuring cardamom, vanilla. It also features lots of lavender, obviously, iris, oriental notes, and some woodsy touches. Great scent. This is Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Parfum, and that's at number 18. So this next one, I'm going to the house of ETAT Libre Orange, and this is Exit the King. Exit the King is a chypre fragrance with loads of patchouli, but it also has oak moss, jasmine, and a soapy accord or soapy notes. So it's very, very clean, and no, it's a clean scent because it's soapy notes. It's not like your crystal clean, kind of like there's like notes in here that don't come off clean. Just because it has the soap notes in here, it doesn't mean like it's a clean fragrance. For me, it's a chypre, and it focuses on a lot of chypre as a, I mean, it features on a lot of oak moss as a note, because that's a prominent note that comes up in this particular style of fragrances. But you know, it does have clean touches, and I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy the soapy touches throughout this fragrance. The patchouli, the oak moss are definitely stand out. So that's Exit to King from ETAT Libre Orange at number 17. Okay, number 16, we're going to the house of Goldfield and Banks. This is Bohemian Lime. So this one actually is a great sparkly, effervescent freshie, focusing on a note that's never appeared in a fragrance, at least not to me, called finger lime. So even though you'll see the word lime, it's not your typical lime, like the round. It's got a weird shape to it. Look up my review on the channel if you're curious to learn more about this. I find it to be very spicy. There's like a gingery spice in here that I don't know where I'm getting from, and I mentioned it in my review that it reminds me of a Moscow Mule cocktail, you know, with mint and the lime and all of these kind of like notes together. So it wears like a I'm wearing like a Moscow Mule, the actual cocktail, which is very cool and crisp and refreshing, but zingy and spicy as well. And that's what this one acts like, so it's perfect for summertime. But in the end, it's got finger lime, bergamot, vetiver, coriander, cedar, sandalwood. I think that coriander has a lot to do with what I'm experiencing. The coriander note as a spice itself, not the herb, but when it's a spice, it's got a very, very fragrant smell to it. It's spicy. It's much more spicy than the actual herb to me. But I think that has something to do with the way the notes are composed together. Either way, it's a great release from this house. Very fresh and refreshing. Goldfield and Banks Bohemian Lime. That's at number 16. This one I recently did a review of on the channel. If you haven't caught it, go catch it. It's at number 15. It's Guerlain's L'Homme Idéal Extreme. Sadly, it's not an official USA release, but I am really, really enjoying it. So, you know, when I first got this one, I mentioned in my video, I really enjoyed it, but you know, I kept smelling it out of the bottle, and it reminds me too much of the original release, and I get bored of it, you know? But when I wear it, things do come up and smell much better on me with my chemistry. Now there's notes of almonds, plum, tobacco, leather, cinnamon, heliotrope, patchouli, cedar, and pink pepper in here. For me, I'm getting a boozier version of this particular fragrance. Not so heavy on the tobacco, not so heavy on the leather. Those are fragrance notes that are pretty deep and rich. The fragrance itself wears very light and thin. In comparison to the Cool, yeah, it's a little stronger, but for me, the entire series is very light, so I don't get a lot of depth from the notes, but it's a great smelling fragrance either way, and with a little bit of overspraying, you get to experience it a little better than, you know, when you wear it lightly. So I like the way this smells, and it's definitely at number 15. If you like the idea, go check out my review and check out this fragrance. Just be warned, it does have boozy touches. I don't know if other people mentioned this. I do get the booziness in here, and I like that combination. It's probably from the plum note. Either way, that's Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Extreme. Next, going to a house called L'Artisan Parfumeur, and this is Color Vanille. So Color Vanille came out way at the beginning of the year, and I really love the way this fragrance smells. I love vanilla and fragrances to begin with, and this is a salty, sea salty vanilla experience. But if you're thinking it might smell like Juliet Has a Gun's what do you call it, vanilla vibes, it's sort of like that, but this one actually is a lot deeper and richer. It does get amberier as it's drying down. It has notes of sea salt, vanilla, tolu balsam, musk, vanilla orchid, benzoin, bergamot, immortelle. Definitely has the saltiness, definitely has the vanillic touches. It's not an overwhelmingly strong vanillic fragrance, but it's much stronger than Vanilla Vibes. I feel like Vanilla Vibes is more of a summertime beachy experience. This one doesn't really go beachy to me. It's more of a vanillic ambery dry down, as I said. Beautiful scent though. So that's Color Vanille from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur. Next, going to the house of Cartier, and this is Pacha de Cartier Parfum. So this one happened to be a great release of the year for men. Sadly, a lot of these fragrances are unisex targeted, but some men targeted fragrances obviously you've already noticed. And this is a definite great quality release from Cartier. Cartier, I think, is definitely releasing some great fragrances. Another one that came out this year that was targeted to ladies is Le Panthère Parfum, which I recently sampled and I really enjoyed. enjoyed. Hopefully I'll do a review of that one. But this is a boozy, sandalwoody, masculine, Oriental fougere is what it's known as. So it reminds me of the original, but it's definitely updated to today's, noses and, tastes and things like that. But lots of sandalwood, liqueur note, balsam fir, tonka bean, benzoin, amber cyanide, patchouli, lavender. Really, really great scent. It actually smells much better on me than out of the bottle for some reason, because when I'm wearing it I really, really love it. So that's at number 13 from the House of Cartier, a great designer release for men. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do. Next up, going to the House of Kajal, it's La Mar. So this is a pineapple-y fragrance, fruity and delicious vanillic combination with red berries. The red berries definitely stands out. It first hits my nose and then pineapple appears, There's a very red berry-like quality with this one, but it's very, very fruity with the pineapple. The vanilla is very, very prominent, so it's basically like you're experiencing mashed fruits of pineapple and red berries with vanilla swirled on top of it. Throw in some cardamom, spice obviously has to come in, apple, amber, coriander. Coriander came in again. It has a very floral touch to me, coriander as a spice. Rose, jasmine, and magnolia, a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It's almost like honeyed fruits is what I get with this one. Really delicious. It's a gourmand. It's an oriental, floral, oriental fruity, but combination, oriental spicy too. But really, really delicious offering. So that's Kajal La Mar. Next, going to the House of Memo Paris is Sintra. This one right here. So Sintra is your delicious orange blossom dessert come to life, basically. For me, it's a similar idea to Love by Kilian. Also, Neroli Blanc Intense from Apé de la Fleur d'Oranger. And there's a few others, but this one, I think since Love got reformulated, I think it's a lot lighter. This one is actually a lot beefier. And it does remind me of those two fragrances, but it's got its own signature touch. This is focusing on marshmallows, neroli, vanilla, orange blossom, petitgrain. Petitgrain is pretty prominent in this one. So you do pick up the greenish, bitter, leafy, orange leafy smell in here. There's also resins, caramel, musk, jasmine, bergamot, and milk note. Really, really delicious. It does remind me of a orange blossom dessert. It's really yummy. Anyway, that's Memo Paris' Sintra. A great, great release. A wonderful release. Next, going to the House of Byredo at number 10. It's Tobacco Mandarin, this one right here. So this one actually is a really intense fragrance from this house, focusing on tobacco with mandarin oranges. Cumin comes in. It appears a lot on me. Out of the bottle, hardly any cumin. It's more of the tobacco and mandarin, but cumin definitely appears, and you got to be warned. If you don't like that note, if you think it might smell like body odor or BO or something, be warned. This one does smell cuminy, but I like the combination of the cumin with the tobacco and the mandarin. Leather appears. Some smoky touches of olibanum come through, like an incense resinous touch. Sandalwood, oud, and coriander. It's a great spicy tobacco experience. Definitely very, very spicy, so be warned. And then also there's a very resinous, slightly chalky, slightly gummy kind of a base with this one, so it's intense. It's an intense fragrance. A little goes a long way. It's more expensive than their original bottles, but also it comes in a 50 ml because it's an extrait de parfum concentration, so a little goes a long way with this one. So that's Byredo's Tobacco Mandarin. If you don't know it, do check it out. At number 9, it's Patchouli Ardent from the House of Guerlain. Guerlain has 2 fragrances in this list. This one, I wasn't as excited about it when I first reviewed it, but it has really, really developed on me to become a really, really great alternative to a patchouli fragrance like Reminiscence Patchouli, Jovoy Psychedelic. If you like those kind of patchouli fragrances, this is totally different than that. For me, it has kind of like a DNA of their other fragrance, Bois Mysterio. That one has a very leathery, spicy touch. It's here. But for me, patchouli does come in, and it's lots of rose. It's rose and patchouli, and then there's a fruity touch with fig. Now that was a surprise twist, and the more I wore it, the more the fig came through. I really started enjoying this combination, and the notes together work wonderfully. It's a dry experience, not ambery. So, but it's intense. It's an intense experience, and I really, really love the way it smells. I think that fig note thrown in here is such a great idea. Whoever came up with it really did come up with a great idea. Well, it's the perfumer. I believe it's Terry Wasser who's the perfumer with this one. So in addition to the fig, there's cedar, pink pepper, some musk and black pepper. Oh man, it's so good. It's really, really good. And as I said, it's grown on me a lot more than when I first reviewed it. So that's at number 9. It's Guerlain's Patchouli Ardente. So this was a complete surprise for me. I never expected I was going to completely fall head over heels for this fragrance. This is a fragrance from a house I recently did a preview of their 4 fragrances. And this was launched in 2020, and it happens to be one of my favorite releases of this year, and it's at number 8. It's Maison Crivelli's Iris Melican. What a great fragrance it is. And for me, the reason I really love this one is because of the galbanum note in here. Galbanum along with Orris makes for a great experience. It's powdery, it's buttery Orris or Iris note, and along with that green bitter, slightly metallic touch of the galbanum note. What a great combination. So this one is very powdery. It was featured in a powdery fragrances video. Features Orris butter or Orris note from the iris flower, mastic resin, vanilla, leather, cypress, mimosa flower, amber, and galbanum note. And together really, really works wonderfully. It does hint a little bit at Comme des Garçons Copper, because that one also has lots of galbanum note, but they're completely different fragrances. The galbanum note is what stands out in both and reminds me of one another. If you like galbanum, you've got to try this one, especially if you like powdery, irisy fragrances. Such a great fragrance. I wear it and it smells very, very sexy on me. Really, really beautiful. So that's Maison Crivelli Iris Melican at number 8. Next, going to the house of Kilian, and this is Angel's Share. It had to be on this list. You know, I have both Roses on Ice and Angel's Share. I really do enjoy this particular fragrance because I love these kind of gourmand, sweet kind of fragrances that are very, very cozy and comforting. And this one actually is boozy in addition to the gourmand touches. It's an oriental fragrance, obviously, but it's all those things I mentioned. But features cognac, cinnamon, tonka beans. There's oak, pralines, vanilla, sandalwood. Wears beautifully warm and spicy and boozy on me during the winter months, and I really, really love it. Well, we haven't really had too much of a winter yet, but I just love it in the cold. It just warms me up, you know? That's Angel's Share from the house of Kilian at number 7. Now this one was a complete surprise for me. Gucci's Alchemist Garden Fragrances launched 3 total fragrances, 2 that were selling regularly, and then all of a sudden this particular one came out. The 2 other ones, the Midnight Stroll and A Chant for the Nymph, were okay, but this one, I was surprised at how good it is. This is Hortus Sanitatis from Gucci. Inspired by a book. It's in Latin, this name, and I'm not going to get into the detail of that particular topic, but what a wonderful fragrance this is. I really love the way it smells. It's a very unique smell, focusing on the notes of vetiver, papyrus, ginger, and cedar. Now when I smell this thing, it smells like barbecued roses. I mention that to every time I talk about this fragrance. It smells like toasted roses. Where is that coming from? I don't know, but for me it smells like when I was young, I used to put roses in books and close them up and then come back like months later and open them up. Whatever that smell was, with you know the rose kind of has a smell and it gets concentrated when it's drying. So when I used to open it up, I had a smell. This kind of reminds me of that kind of like print paper, whatever, ink and rose combination. But for me, it reminds me of barbecued roses, as I said. Really, there's a smoky touch in here, a zingy, spicy touch, but all of those notes together reminds me of this kind of like barbecued roses thing. There's no roses in the fragrance. I don't know where I'm getting that, but what I am getting, I'm really loving. Anyway, Gucci's Hortus Sanitatis, great scent at number 6. This is one of my favorite fragrances this year, and I love the way it wears on me. This is Animal Mondaine from the house of Pierre Guillaume. So this one, I love it because it's animalic, but it's not overly animalic, but it's animalic with the touches of honey, tobacco, powdery notes, pear leaf, mahogany wood, hay. Now, it's a very, very sexy tobacco fragrance because the animalic notes in here. There's a muskiness, kind of reminds me of the muskiness in like L'Animal Sauvage, which is now called something else. And then a little bit of the animalic muskiness from the previous version of Musk Ravageur from Frederic Malle. It reminds me of those kind of musks with, you know, the tobacco, honey, and powdery notes. But, you know, it reminds me of the original Michael Kors for Men that came out in 2001 a little bit, because that one was a tobacco focused fragrance, so this one does remind me of it, but an animalic version of that. But also it kind of reminds me of Gold Night from by Kilian. I think the honey in here is reminding me of the honey in there. Either way, it's a very, very sexy tobacco fragrance focusing on, you know, animalic musk with tobacco, honey, hay, powdery notes. Beautiful fragrance. That's number 5, Pierre Guillaume's Animal Mondaine. So at number 4, it's a surprise fragrance for me. It came out very, very early this year, and I'm obsessed with the way it smells. It's focusing on pineapple, patchouli, immortelle, tonka beans. It's Mile High from Parlez-moi de Parfum. What a great combination this is. Really, really unique combination. It's fruity. It's a fruity, ripe pineapple with this kind of like dry, caramelized, brown, sugary immortelle everlasting flower note, and then throw in some tonka beans. A very, very beautiful fragrance. It's not overly strong, it's not a wimp, it wears sweet, and it wears, you know, slightly spicy, and also a little herbal and aromatic from the immortelle note. But I love it. I love the way it smells. And just because it has pineapple, it doesn't smell like Aventus. This is a different kind of, you know, pineapple fragrance. And the patchouli in here also adds this really, really sparkly, sexy, you know, layer to the fragrance that I really, really do enjoy. Mile High from Parlez-moi de Parfum, probably my favorite fragrance from this house. So my next 2 fragrances have the word rouge in the name. At number 3, it's Comme des Garçons Rouge. Really, really beautiful fragrance here. When I first smelled this one, I was like, wow, beetroot in a fragrance, where did that come from? But it really does work. It's nicely contrasted with incense. When you're smelling the beetroot, you can smell the incense running throughout it, like the smokiness, and wow, it's so good, guys. So beetroot has a slight fruity, slightly vegetale kind of a quality to it. It reminds me a little bit of rhubarb, just a little bit, not too much. So I like that about it. There's ginger in here. As I said, there's also the incense. So there's a zingy spiciness. It's almost like a fruit, vegetable kind of salad-like quality with the ginger and beetroot together. Pink pepper. There's some mint, patchouli, and labdanum. So it does have a ambery base, but wow, a great scent, guys. If you like the weird, funky fragrances, if you like fragrances that feature, you know, notes like beetroots or whatever, or if you like Comme des Garçons, check this one out. It's a fruity, vegetal, ambery fragrance. It doesn't wear overly heavy. It doesn't wear light, but it smells fantastic. Great scent. Number 3 is Comme des Garçons Rouge. Definitely a great scent to try. And number 2 is another fragrance that features the word rouge, is Rouge Sarré from Atelier des Ors. That's number 2. And this one, it's a warm and gooey, fruity, vanillic, oriental, gourmand fragrance that I'm really, really loving this year. This has become my favorite fragrance from this house, and it smells really, really, really yummy. I like the whole gooiness about this one. Syrupy, molassesy, honeyed, ambery, drizzled on top of, like, you know, maybe baked fruits and things like that, because this one has notes of plums, dates, vanilla, cinnamon, holiday, come alive, right? Those notes are just beautiful. There's some Peru balsam, gaiac wood, patchouli, heliotrope, and sandalwood. The combination is really, really satisfyingly delicious, you know, a really yummy fragrance. Actually, this was featured in a video yesterday as well. Definitely an oriental fragrance, and it's a gourmand for me. This is Atelier des Ors Rouge Sarré. Can you guess my number 1? It's a designer. Le Lion. Wow, this one became number 1. You know, I really really do like this one, and it was a toss-up between the two, and I'm giving it to Chanel because it's really a great scent for what they've done. They've done a great job with this fragrance, and I think because as a designer, I gave him the #1 because I felt like they've accomplished something really, really good here with this fragrance. For me, it's an amber, an oriental, obviously, but not gourmand, obviously. I spoke about the differences between orientals and ambers and orientals versus gourmands. Definitely an oriental, it's an amber, but definitely doesn't go gourmandy, even though it has vanilla in the notes. But it's amber, labdanum, patchouli, sandalwood, musk, bergamot. It's so good, guys. It does hint a little bit at Shalimar. It stops there. It hints at a little bit of a Coromandel to me as well, but it's not quite that. But it's a unique creation on its own. It's leathery, it's smoky. I should say it also hints at a little bit of Coeur de Russie as well, but it's definitely not those fragrances. But a great, great release from Chanel. Le Lion de Chanel at #1. And that's my video for today. Those are my 20 favorite fragrances of 2020. Let me know if you like these fragrances. Let me know if you've tried them. Let me know if you hate them. And also, as I said, please stay tuned for a follow-up video for the remainder of my favorites from 2020 and what I think about them. That should hit the channel during the week. But guys, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. And once again, Happy New Year. Stay tuned for lots of great videos on the channel. I'm looking forward to 2021 being an amazing year, hopefully, once everything starts getting back to normal. But either way, hope everyone's doing well. As I said, stay tuned for more videos. I have a video with a giveaway tomorrow. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.